And welcome back to class, everybody. Today is Monday, November the 16th. The Bengals are on Monday Night Football tonight. I'm excited about that. In your last class session, you had to turn in your working outline for Writing Project 4, the final writing project for this class. I have not yet looked at those, but I'll get them back to you along with some comments as quickly as possible. Today we're going to be working in class session 13, and I want to take a look and see what's there and what we have to do for this week. Of course, the big project will be writing a draft of Writing Project 4. And this is the argument paper. There are two chapters to review in the textbook, Chapter 13 on making arguments in popular discourse, and Chapter 11, making a persuasive appeal and appraising using evidence. Of course, this is a persuasive paper. In Writing Project 3, you were trying to stay as neutral as possible, but as I've mentioned before, in this particular writing project, we do want to persuade. We want to win over people to our side of the argument, or at least convince them that we have an argument. We will be opening our final discussion board. Excuse me, it's not our final discussion board, but it is the final discussion board related to a writing project. And that is session 13, and we will continue it in session 14 on evidence and support. And of course, you'll be turning in your first draft of Writing Project 4. So let's take a look at the learning activities. Of course, here is your textbook. I won't open that now, and the two chapters that you have to read. Instead, what I do want to focus on are the instructions for Writing Project 4. This will look pretty familiar. Of course, we're only following steps 1 through 6 at this point, but I do want to go over a couple of things that are in the instructions. And for Writing Project 4, you are going to continue writing about the subject you used for Writing Project 3. But this time, as I mentioned, you're going to take a stand and argue in favor of your position. And that could take a couple of different paths. The first is to solve a problem by advocating a course of action, by encouraging people to agree with you. To assert a position, to support your view, to inquire more deeply into the controversy and advocate for a solution, or to prevail, and this is probably the most popular one in previous classes, stating that your view is superior to the views of others. The whole point of the project is to persuade the audience. But as you consider how you're going to persuade, you need to envision who the audience may be. And you can consider who has a stake in the issue, who can benefit from hearing your argument, who needs to be made aware, in other words, raising awareness, or who is impacted by the problem or issue that you are writing about. Of course, you're going to want to include this in the situational analysis that you will include with your draft. Not everyone has always included the situational analysis when they send in their first draft, but this is very helpful for me, so I understand where you're coming from and the point that you're trying to make, so please don't overlook this step. This is the longest writing project we will do in the class, so notice that for your first draft, there's a minimum of 1,250 words, and your final draft should be about 1,500 words. We're using MLA style. Of course, we never use APA style in this class. And your final essay should be heavy on in-text citations and quotations from other sources. In step 4, you will refine the thesis statement from your working outline. We've already had a discussion board about thesis statements. Make sure that this is solid as possible and that it is clearly stated early in your paper. It needs to be within the first paragraph, maybe the second if you include an introductory paragraph describing the problem, but no later than that. It clearly should be on the first page. We need to know what it is you're trying to say and how you are going to say it. Your first draft is due in this class session. and follow your working outline to the best of your ability. And as it states in step 6, once you've applied your organizational strategy and you've completed your first draft, go ahead and turn it in. And you can stop after step 6 because the rest of these, steps 7 through 10, are what we will cover in class session 14. Let's go back one more step and get into the assignments and the assessments for class session 13. There's tutor.com. Again, highly recommend it, even for your draft. The more eyes that read something you've written, the better it is. For session 13, and we will continue this in session 14, we have a discussion board on evidence and support. And there is an outline that you can follow for this discussion board. Match this closely, you'll do great. For this discussion board, you're going to pick one of your supporting claims from your working outline, and this should be your main claim. And you can simply copy the claim from your supporting evidence and discussion, or your working outline. Include your first paragraph from the draft. So claim and evidence first, paragraph for the first draft telling us how you're going to get there, and then detail what type of appeal you are going to use for your persuasive paper. And it could be any one of these three, or maybe even a slight blend of the two. The first could be an ethical appeal. Make yourself more likable, knowledgeable, and trustworthy. A pathetic appeal, in which you use tone or attitude to express to your subject, the audience for the paper, and change the language to appeal to them directly. Probably the most popular one is the logical appeal. How to develop your paragraph or paragraphs to make it clearer and more logical to your readers. How can you strengthen your discussion to make it clear that your evidence sufficiently supports or proves your claim? So you'll need to list specifically what type of appeal you are using, and your original post should be about 200 words. I won't go into the discussion boards to show where this will be found. Of course, you can simply click on the link here and it will take you there, or you can open the discussion tabs on the left. Once your draft is finished, you're going to turn it in here. That will come directly to me. And you'll also turn in one here for the discussion board for class session 14, where you will get feedback from the rest of the folks in the class. And in both of those, don't forget to include the situational analysis. In your situational analysis, also make certain that you include who your audience is going to be. Your audience could be me and the other folks in the class. The audience could be the people who are most affected by the issue that you are writing about. So for example, if you're writing about a topic related to, say, children and healthcare, you'll want to write to the parents of young children, medical providers that service that population, etc. But make sure you indicate who your audience is going to be. Oh, I went too far. So again, 2 chapters to review in the text, chapter 13, chapter 11. I know you know where the text is by now. Working on writing project 4, your argument paper. Beginning discussion boards 13 and 14, although we'll only do 13 this week. Writing your draft of writing project 4. I think we've covered everything in the learning activities. I simply want to take one more look around. Yes, we have. And that is all for this week. This one's kind of brief, but that's a good thing. Take less of your time. As always, reach out to me. 812-498-4200 is my text number. My email address is mstenger and the number 1 at ivytech.edu. You can call me anytime toll free at 800-416-1747. As I mentioned earlier, I'll review your working outlines and get that feedback to you as quickly as possible. Look for that in a day or two. Hope everyone has a great week. Look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you around.